Okay, hello everybody and welcome back to your coverage of the Redbull ECL. This is our final two-game set for the evening, and it's the final two-game set for the group stage portion of the competition as well. It's Titan versus Invictus Gaming, and Titan, it's for them a choose-your-own-adventure. If they beat IG in at least one of these games, then they're going to be facing IG tomorrow. If they lose both games to IG, then IG take the number 2 spot, and Titan will instead be playing Tongfu. So, we'll see. You might notice that there is a little bit of an interesting bug that happens when you join too many games. The team text starts to slowly drift upwards, and Titan's is almost out of the range that it's supposed to be. And I haven't actually tested if you join hundreds of lobbies if this eventually flies up off the screen, but a minor bug that should probably be fixed. So this is an all-pick remake. We had the draft just a little bit earlier. It looks like the admins are trying to speed up the tournament a little bit, so it looks like we are going to have Hearthstone and Dota running concurrently. I'm not sure what's going on over on the Chinese stream, but this is what's going on over here. So, Winter has abandoned me. He had to go. It is getting a little bit late, both in Australia and in SEA, so no begrudging him. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a co-caster, so I'm just going to have to unfortunately take Winter off the list, and that's gonna change the size of that thing. And okay, there we go. So let's get ourselves underway. IG gonna start off with a very aggressive smoke, making their way up. Ohio is gonna be the one to reveal it. Can they get in range here? He's gonna be able to pounce away, still get stunned, but that first movement from IG not gonna end up working out. Ferrari runs forward, is gonna throw down a remnant, but that's going to be about it. And looks like Banana just going to come up, try and place down some annoying wards to deal with this Chen. And we might even see Banana perhaps aggressively jungling a little bit, just to put some pressure down. They could go for sort of an aggressive 2.5 lane with the Tiny Wisp hanging around. Arrow's going to fly in towards YYF, but just a little bit off the mark. And I'm not sure if Titan could have even gone on that arrow had it connected. So, now that we've got that level 1 gank out of the way, let's very quickly introduce our teams. It's IG versus Titan, and over on IG, we're going to have Hao handling the Tiny. We've got Faith over on the Wisp. We've got Ferrari 430 heading towards mid on the Storm Spirit. We've got Banana over on the Enchantress, and we've got YYF on the Venomancer. Meanwhile, over on Titan, Net is going to be on the Bane. Extinct, who actually drafted this lineup for Titan, he was taking over the captain spot as opposed to Miracle. He is going to be over on the Chen. We've got M, otherwise known as Miracle, over on the Mirana. ky.xy heading mid on the Puck, just a pretty standard opening build from him to start things off. And we've got Ohio, the survivor of that level 1 gank, heading towards the off lane on the Slark. So, IG just running this, well, running a duo lane for now. Banana's actually going to start off over in the Radiant jungle, so it looks like he might be trying to put some more pressure towards mid, as opposed to trying to deal with the Chen too much. Extinct actually hasn't picked up any sentries, it seems, so he's just going to have to deal with his camps being blocked. They've only chosen to block out actually no, so he has managed to pick up some sentries, and he's dewarded over here. Yeah, he has managed to unblock that camp, and it looks like he's going to be okay. I'm not sure where the other sentry is snuck off to. It looks like it's actually all the way down here on the bottom lane. So Titans see that initial move and are going to be just fine to deal with it. Meanwhile, Net's just going to be running some pulls, not putting too much pressure down on the offlane Venomancer, who should be able to get some pretty good farm, and is going to very quickly become a nuisance, especially if Titan were hoping to get a fast tier 1 tower out of this lane. And just touching base with our middle lane, ky.xy, 3 for 3 right now. Ferrari 430 doing a very good job. 6-1, though the Satyr is making life a little bit more difficult for the Puck. So Banana is kind of tipping the balance. There's no such thing these days as a true 1v1 on mid lane. There's always Puppy or Banana or No Tail or something just sending creeps at you, ganks heading towards you, and even the recent changes have made dominating a 1v1 ranged matchup a lot more difficult, especially with the deny experience changes. So, yeah, Ferrari's doing well, but again, a lot of it courtesy of the Enchantress right now. Probably just expecting a pretty standard build from Faith, probably the Soul Ring. I would probably expect to see the Soul Ring and Tranquils, as we've been seeing for the last couple of days, just keeping the Tiny fueled. That means Tiny can build whatever he wants. If he wants to go Phase Drum, he can, and then head straight into the Aghanim Scepter. He is going to eat a pounce here. Ohio gets some creep damage down. They're going to try and get him away from the creep so that they can guarantee the Avatars. He's going to pop the Dark Pact and just die to the combo. Not sure if he should have tried to pact off the damage there. But unfortunately, Pouncer's on cooldown, didn't have any other recourse. So it's going to be your first blood drawn by IG, and Ohio not having the best of times. Just going to respawn, TP down bot, not miss out on too much experience, and also just going to Pouncer randomly sideways, because why not? But Tiny definitely leading the CS charts so far. Miracle actually struggling a lot in terms of farm, only 10 CS. So he has missed quite a bit. The pressure from the Venomancer and the pulls being run by Net has meant that he's been forced underneath the tower to try and last hit a bit, but still less CS than you would hope for from your hard carry player. So, though Mirana's base damage is absolutely atrocious. Miracle might even consider just getting a Blades of Attack before picking up his boots here. We'll have to see. We've got a first movement heading up top lane from Extinct. Actually going to end up ditching his Satyr in favor of this Troll, but all of this has been spotted by YYF, and he's not going to be caught out by any of this. We'll see what Titan can even do. Maybe try and make a gank head over towards mid. There's going to be a drag back onto ky.xy. They're going to get the net down as well. He's got an orb, however, coming up. Dodges the Centaur Stomp. Doesn't even have to use the orb. Very nicely done with the phase shift. And Banana eats the orb. Is going to be forced to pop his heal. And very well played by ky.xy. And Extinct, can he get a counter kill? Ferrari, he's up to level 4. The Troll's going to try and get enraged, but Ferrari swoops in, picks up the invis, and looks like that's going to be all for your mid lane. Even YYF coming down to join the party. And Miracle, despite a bit of a shaky start, is now closing the gap up to How. So it looks like he just had a couple of creeps banked up in the wave and did get the majority of them there. So I will have to retract my earlier criticism. But in terms of overall strategy here, IG, you've got a Venomancer and a Storm Spirit as two of your cores. It's pretty much just the solo core Tiny. We have seen DK running pretty much this exact lineup. Nice arrow going to connect on top lane. Looks like Nightmare was the setup, and Titan are going to even things up 1-to-1 as they get a kill over on top. Meanwhile, Ohio in some trouble, but pounces down into the low ground, pops his salve. He's going to be just fine. And actually doing very well in terms of levels, despite dying for the first blood. It's almost level 5, so level 6 on its way. Lots of sustain for him. Faith, again, no big surprises. Just going to pick up the Soul Ring as Tiny works in towards phase. This is almost an exact repeat of a game that we saw DK play just yesterday. And DK showed that even despite only having the single core really in the Tiny, or the single ultra late game core in the Tiny, didn't matter. The mid and the offlane created enough space. They just farmed up, took it late, and the Tiny was absolutely monstrous. So we'll see if Titan, with these slightly pushier, slightly more mobile heroes, a lot of heroes that have something to do in the early stages of the game, are going to be able to keep the pressure down and prevent the Tiny from becoming too scary. There's going to be a Nightmare again on YYF. Eats the arrow to the face. Don't think you can use the Plague Wards to remove the Nightmare, otherwise you probably would have done it. And one more right click is going to bring him down. So, another kill for Titan. This offlane Venomancer still getting his levels, but if he moves out anywhere close to the Bane, just turns into an immediate kill. And Net with that is level 5, heading in towards a very fast level 6, and even if the Storm Spirit has 6, which he does, a Fiend's Grip is definitely going to spell his. Might see Titan making that kind of move pretty soon. Banana continues to put pressure down on mid. He's only level 4 as a result, though, keeping pace with the Chen, who also had a bit of a wander over towards mid lane a little bit earlier. In terms of overall farm, it's a slight lead in favor of Titan at the moment, and a pretty hefty experience lead as well. Most of that just coming from the fact that the supports are pretty highly level 5 on Net. And as we've seen, Ohio's been pulling creep waves around from bottom lane just to secure his farm. We do have Banana moving around, going to place down a ward back behind the tier 1, looking to move in here with the Centaur, and I'll just switch it back to Last Hits Denies for the time being. But we'll see if Ohio, what he can do here. Doesn't quite have the level 6, so no 4 seconds of invulnerability effectively for him. They've got no vision, they've got no idea where the Enchantress is. IG were actually very proactive in terms of placing their wards pretty early. The slow is going to go out. Can the Centaur get in range? Out goes the Stomp. He's going to be able to Dark Pack that off. The lift goes up into the air, but didn't toss him on top of the Slark. Not going to end up mattering, though Net comes in with the return. Banana's going to end up eating the Nightmare. Could put it over on the Centaur instead, but just going to wait at the duration. It's actually going to end up being the Dark Troll Summoner that eats the Nightmare. And Net is going to eat the Avalanche. He'll eat the toss. Down he's going to go. Faith just skirts past the tower. How keeps on going. Picks up a third kill. A little bit of body blocking going on from the Troll, but a nice play from Banana. Instantly steals it. ky.xy drops the Coilets onto Ohio, returning to this fight. Banana going to try and escape. Eats a tower shot on his way out. The Orb's going to connect. And Titan do end up making the best of a bad situation, evening things up after that big dive down on bottom lane. And I think this is exactly what Titan need to be doing, responding to every move that IG make. Don't let them have a tier 1 tower for free, don't let them have any farm that you can afford to deny them, and I guess we're also going to have to see, well, yeah, no big surprises from Miracle. Even when he's playing the Mirana, it's not going to be an early active build, it is just going to be phase boots for a little bit of last hitting power, and then straight in towards a Midas. So, looks like he's still going to be aiming fairly late game as far as this Mirana is concerned. Extinct up to level 5. Ferrari, well, he's level 8. We haven't really seen a move from the Storm Spirit just yet, so while the Puck was bottom lane, he did manage to pull ahead a little bit in terms of farm. Faith is level 5 for the moment, still level 5 up on the Bane, so we've got a bunch of really important ultimates coming online very soon, and again, the fact that there's a full jungler on each side means that everybody's getting farmed, and the whole pace of the game is being shifted up pretty quickly. And it goes to show the benefit from IG of placing their wards a little bit earlier, right around the 7-minute mark, as that first set of theirs faded, is that they spot the enemy wards being placed. Banana is going to be jumped, but he's got 2 points up in the attendance, 1 point in untouchable, and the relocate's already making its way through. Ohio doesn't have that long, the Gale connects, he pounces on top of YYF, Avatos combo comes down, Tiny picks up the kill, the coil is going to be used by ky.xy, interestingly enough, but no follow-up whatsoever, and with coil down, IG might actually just be able to push a little bit off of this. Banana can go duck into the jungle and grab a creep, unless Ferrari kills them all, and actually Faith and How going to return to bottom lane to bring down this tier 1. Did they manage to snag the last hit? Yes, so last hit the tower, relocate in. Things looking pretty good for IG at the moment, and with that, they're going to rocket up to a 1.5k gold lead. They're still trailing a little bit in terms of experience. And Banana camps out the Illusion Rune. How has phase, has drum, has quite a bit of farm, in fact. 1300 gold up in the bank. If he wants to grab his casual point booster right now, could certainly do so, and How moving actually really deep into enemy territory. Net is right here. If they spotted one another, it looks like they might have. How going to phase boot around. Illusion's not going to tank the tower. He's actually going to end up tanking it with his hero. So no kill. Looks like I don't think they actually spotted one another at the end of the day. Ohio is level 8. Makes his way back down towards bottom lane. And How just charges straight at him. Unfortunately, the creep wave is here. He will be able to pounce away. Still eats the toss damage, but he's Slark. He's got Shadow Dance. He's going to be just fine to regen up. Faith doing his job as the Wisp, just going to keep How fueled at all times. And Extinct, he's got 2 Centaurs. He's only level 5. Net is level 6. This is a very big gank for Titan if they can pull it off. And IG actually playing pretty aggressively right now. It looks like they're not that suspicious. There is a relocate up to try and bail out How. Can they get it off? Looks like Faith is going to be nightmared. How still just sitting off to the side. The first stomp comes in. They don't even need the second. How's still trapped. Realizing that he doesn't really have that many options, is just going to end up buying a Staff of Wizardry. And down he'll go. Very nice move from Titan. And again, doing things in the early game. Really trying to keep the Wisp and the Tiny down. The plan there was, if something went bad, relocate the Tiny to safety and have the Wisp escape. But at the end of the day, they both do end up dying. So with that, IG gonna fall even further behind in terms of experience. Gold swinging back towards even. Banana's managed to reach level 6 now. Actually still being very proactive with these wards. Gonna head over into the Dire Jungle and plop one down. Even another one up on the high ground tier to keep an eye on the rune. And ky.xy, 12 minutes in, has also managed to complete his Blink Dagger. So despite the early pressure from the Enchantress, has done very well to recover. And since we're past 10 minutes, let's just switch it over to net worth. So, still constant pressure from IG. The plan is with sending the Wisp Tiny bot. This is exactly what DK were doing. You send the Wisp Tiny bot, they pressure that tower, somebody responds to that, or somebody responds to the constant pressure mid, and then you go wherever the pressure wasn't applied and take the tower. But so far hasn't worked out for IG. Titan have actually been pretty successful with their smoke ganks. And Titan actually going to give the top lane over to Ohio to grab a little bit of farm. Miracle is your farm leader. He's picked up his Midas and looks like he's now working his way into a Lincoln Sphere. So despite being on Mirana, it's still a very split pushy Mirana as well. And not only do these wards have a lot of benefit for IG in terms of spotting where the Chen is and how he's moving around, there's also a pretty good chance that these kind of deep wards maybe spot the Moonlight Shadow being popped, and that could save you from a Moonlight Shadow grip gank. And speaking of grip, it's back online for Det, so I expect Titan to probably make another move fairly soon. And Extinct, despite dying bottom lane to the Tiny, actually almost has his mech finished up. And now level 7, 3 creeps, Hand of God, in a very reasonable position for this time of the game. And IG move forward aggressively again. Net looks like not quite fast enough to close the gap. Instead he's going to switch over to targeting Faith, but he's also going to be fine to escape. And this time around the movement towards bot from Titan not going to be successful. But are they just going to try and turn this into a push? There is going to be some pressure from Banana over on mid. He doesn't have a TP, so if they want to try and fight bot, they would have to walk their way down. Ohio looks like he's going to be dealing with mid. Miracle's still just chilling out over on the top lane, as YYF continues to be the pest that he is. And looks like he's also working his way towards a mech, though the Chen is going to be a little bit faster in this game.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's middle tower is
And
under
Ohio
attack.
actually finds Banana mid. The pounce, however, is not going to connect. Banana just sidesteps it, so he's going to be okay. Meanwhile, top, they've relocated in on top of Miracle. In comes the Avalanche, and down goes the Mirana. IG bring 4 heroes to that gank, but Faith and How are going to be heading back to whence they came very, very soon. Titan going to try and make the best of a bad situation and get this tier 1 tower bot. Last hit is going to be snagged by Extinct, and that's going to be his mech. 100% secured. IG, nobody grabs the last hit on the tower, but are still going to be able to get it up on top. And How only another 1,000 gold away from finishing up his Aghanim Scepter. So still, despite that death, well, despite the 2 deaths so far, doing amazingly well in terms of farm.
Tower is under attack.
So we've probably got mechs up for both sides. IG are going to continue to 3-man with the Tiny and the Wisp farming. Titan can maybe start... They're probably not going to start 5-manning. The Chen would like to, as would the Puck. But I think the Bane, Mirana, and the Slark have slightly different ideas. So we'll see what ends up happening. It's a shame that we saw Net pick up that level 6 and get a very successful gank out of the first grip. The subsequent... the grip that he's had off cooldown for a little while now has just been sitting there. So hopefully we'll see a movement from Titan fairly soon. They did manage to get a D ward down up on this cliff over here, but the ward deeper in the jungle is going to end up going unscathed. And we've actually got a lot of ward wars going on all around the map. As far as Radiant Vision is concerned right now, they've only got the 1 deep ward in the jungle. Again, this is the one consequence of them placing their wards so actively. At one point they had, I think, 4 wards up on the map overlapping, and that means that they do have to wait a little bit at some point in the game to get some vision back. And Titan gonna monopolize on that. They've got some wards all around the map. This is their period of having a whole bunch of wards up. But for the most part, they're just defensive. They're spotting where IG are moving, what lanes they're really focusing on, and it looks like Titan actually feeling kind of content to farm for now. Slark is not an amazing late game core. YYF almost gets jumped mid as a smoke gank comes in, but he's gonna be fine. And going back to that thought, Slark is not a spectacular late game core, but we're still talking Slark and Mirana, and a very farmed Mirana at that, up against a Tiny, and to that end I think Titan are going to be okay if they drag this on. They've also got the Bane to lock down either the Storm Spirit or the Tiny in these fights, so I think things are looking okay. And the Chen is going to take the edge off of all that Venomancer damage as well. So the question that remains is, can IG just farm efficiently enough to start dragging things back to even? And the answer is yes. There is going to be a zip in phase shift from ky.xy, but he's still going to be dragged. Net walking around, Hand of God to be used. ky.xy not dead just yet, gets earned up. Looks like he won't even be able to drop too many spells. This earn is a death sentence, but Ferrari, he's out of mana as well. Miracle jams the arrow and looks like he's going to be able to get both hits down with the Starstorm as he leaps forward. Banana goes in for a big dive. The dust is going to pop off. It connects on both Miracle and on Ohio, but they jump in, they bring down How. He also came in for this dive. YYF, it's going to be a double kill for Banana as he managed to bring down the Mirana, but 3 for 2 so far. Banana no TP, however, no pounce on Ohio. Might be able to swap his treads. No, he tries. He realizes that he doesn't have enough. Banana's going to keep running around in circles with 4 points and untouchable. But Brain Sap and a couple of right clicks bring him down. And ky.xy, he did buy back into that fight. Did we have any other buybacks? Nope, just the one. But Titan managed to turn things around pretty heavily. The tier 1 tower did still end up falling. And unfortunately, I can't scroll up over here, so I can't tell if that was denied or not. But the game is still very close. Gold's going to head up into IG's favor after the tower falls. And it looks like that tower is probably not denied. Can I check it here? Yes, I can actually check it here. So YYF managed to snag the last hit on the tower. So things are still very close. Tiny and Mirana are going to continue trading that top spot in terms of farm, though How is only going to get faster from this point forward. Now that he's finished up his Aghanim Scepter, Ohio continuing to look to make space. And Slark actually feels like a really good match for his playstyle. When he plays Nature's Prophet, he's very active, he split pushes a lot, he ganks a lot. He's a real nuisance. He'll TP back behind lanes, intercept creep waves, snipe couriers. And the Slark pretty similar, just lets them coordinate really well with ky.xy. YYF he gets silenced up, but still manages to get down the Poison Nova. The relocate is coming in. ky.xy is going to take a fall. YYF managed to get off all of his spells. How is going to try and keep on fighting. They managed to bring down the Chen in the midst of all of that. And actually ends up being IG with a really nice turnaround on that gank. Do end up managing to bring down 2 Ohio, however. Loops in from the backside. The grip's going to go out net. It's going to eat some impetus damage here, but he's going to keep on channeling. Brings out the Brain Sap. Faith comes in with the overcharge. In comes the punches from the Tiny. Ohio pounces away. 9 hit points left. Is going to be saved underneath the Moonlight Shadow net. Gets clipped by the dust. Considers going in for the Nightmare, but decides better of it, and no additional kills after the re-engage. But IG working away at this. Ferrari jumps in, silences up Miracle. He is going to end up being nightmared, so it looks like Miracle is going to be just fine. Extinct considers the send back, is going to go for it. The Wisp gets tossed over the top. Miracle leaps in right as that send back happens. How somehow still alive, going to pop that drum charge. Do we have another pounce in a second? We do. 3 seconds until the next ult for Ohio. Is he going to be able to get into it? Not quite. Gets finished off by one more right click. Banana's going to grab that kill. ky.xy keeps on going. Silence onto Ferrari, but How he's being healed up. He lands the avalanche onto 2. Net's going to buy himself a little bit of time with the Nightmare, but one more right click from Ferrari brings him down. ky.xy going to retreat into the trees. He does have a coil ready, and a buyback from Ohio is going to continue this fight. ky.xy jumps in, drops the combo onto 2. The arrow flies in as well for Miracle Titan. Not done just yet, and a double kill going to be picked up by the Mirana as Miracle rejoins the fight. And let's take stock of buybacks one more time. Just the one buyback from Ohio after all is said and done. But again, IG trade pretty evenly. They win the fight at the start, a buyback happens, they lose the tail end of the fight, but Titan have at no point in this game managed to win a fight and actually get an objective out of it. And that's left them 4k behind in terms of gold, though they are still leading in terms of experience. And Ferrari actually farming quite well, 1600 gold at the bank. He hasn't really been ganking that much. It was pretty much just farming straight into 5-manning, or 3-manning as the case may be. So he can start moving in towards his BKB fairly soon. Could maybe even consider a Lincoln Sphere, though if he goes to the Lincolns, then the Puck Silence is still going to be a really big problem. Miracle is silenced, gets jumped. Is there a Hand of God? No. And there's a relocate coming in as well. Nice kill picked up by IG. Miracle just farming out a tiny bit too far, given that he doesn't have his Lincoln Sphere finished. He does actually have it finished. It's on the courier, but gets a little bit ahead of himself. Ohio spots out YYF and Banana. He gets blocked out by the Plague Ward, so his path of retreat is covered. He's going to be able to pounce away as he gets netted. And looks like he should be okay here. No, actually they're going to toss Faith in. Going to try and keep on going. ky.xy can counter-initiate if needed, but Miracle is obviously still dead for 30 seconds, and no, that's going to be that. But IG just continue to dictate the tempo of this game. Hao has been looking for pickoffs, but unfortunately kind of unsuccessful. I mean, maybe if he finds the Venomancer, he can pick up a kill there. Doesn't really have any chance of solo killing the Enchantress, and Tiny and Wisp are pretty much going to be holding hands for the rest of the game, so, or holding tendrils, as the case may be. So, a little bit difficult to find a pick-off there. And Miracle is still a ways away from being scary. He's got his Lincoln Sphere up now, is going to be able to continue to split push, but his farm has really fallen behind Hao, who is just going for the exact same build that we saw Burning playing on his Tiny. Went for the Yasha, a little bit of extra move speed, a little bit of extra armor, then moving back towards the AC. We'll see if there's any motivation whatsoever here for Hao to pick up a BKB. I don't really think that there is. He's still going to get gripped, he's still going to get enfeebled. Probably best just to work on some more damage, if at all possible. Though it is going to be Ferrari working on a BKB. But again, we see this situation where IG controlling the tempo, farming the jungle, Titan looking a little bit lost. They don't have that many camps under their control, so you end up with these heroes that don't quite know what to do with their time. Ohio is going to be able to pounce away on mid lane. Net actually runs into the Avalanche, gets the grip down. Faith could just relocate him out of here if need be. Looks like that's going to be the call. Banana going to keep on healing up. Do they have a tier 1 here to TP to? They didn't actually TP that far. It wasn't all the way back to the fountain. They can return to this fight. Ohio on the retreat. The Poison Nova is gone. Extinct is already dead. He didn't even manage to get down his heal in the fight. Net's being silenced. And the IG Death Ball just stays grouped together. ky.xy tries to get to the Invis, but the tossed Storm Spirit, a little bit lighter these days, but still going to be enough to finish off the puck.
I'm over here.
And Miracle, meanwhile, is nowhere to be found. He's playing Miracle Dota down on bottom lane, but until he gets something like a Desolator, this split push is just not going to be that scary. And IG going to take this as an opportunity while the puck is dead to just punch this tier 2 into submission. Do need to get some creeps in range, however, so back off for a moment. And Titan kind of sitting around wondering what they can do. Extinct, his army got wiped out in the last fight, and again they have very little control over the map, so going out to reassemble that is a little bit unlikely. And as much as I like the draft from Titan, since it is a little bit of a change from what they normally do, this early Chen pickup hasn't really paid dividends. We didn't really see any early ganks moving around. There's going to be an arrow flying in, but not going to connect. Ohio goes for the pounds. ky.xy jumps in, silences, but Faith just going to keep overcharging on Hao, keeps him healthy. ky.xy eats the Avalanche. That's going to be the opening for Ferrari to jump in with the silence. Extinct going to try for the send back, uses the Hand of God to try and save the puck as well, but it's not going to be enough. Toss from the Tiny brings down the Slug. Net slides himself back to safety. But IG, everybody's still on full HP. Arrow's going to fly in. YYF is going to cop that one right in the jaw, but it's going to be a lane of racks to fall, and Titan just seemingly don't have the team fighting power. Miracle spent a lot of time and a lot of gold farming up to the point that he's at, but he's still kind of a pea shooter as far as fights is concerned, and that's going to be it for Titan. They see the Tiny pounding away at their base, and they're just going to call the GG. So guys, that's going to wrap it up for game 1. IG again do need to sweep this game clean if they are going to reclaim the number 2 spot. Sweep this series clean if they are going to reclaim the number 2 spot in the group. So we've got our final game of the evening coming up, which is again going to be IG versus Titan, and that's the final game for the group stage as well. I've been Basecamp here providing coverage on behalf of Beyond the Summit. If you'd like to leave me any feedback on my casting, you can email me at basecampdota@gmail.com. Don't forget that you can of course support Beyond the Summit. You could buy an Elgato, you can follow the stream, you can subscribe if you would really like to as well. Show the guys some love. I'm very appreciative of them for having me on here to cast. So thank you guys, hope to see you soon. Game 2 coming up next.